bring in our guests. Richard Stern, Director of the Center for the Federal Budget at the Heritage Foundation, and Mary Lovely of the Peterson Institute for International Economics. I would start with you, Mary, but I think you're probably right. Richard's got to convince me that this is a good idea. If I've been brainwashed that tariffs are always bad and always get passed on to consumers, Richard, why do I think that pure conservatives do not like tariffs?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate the chance to talk about it. So, I think the important thing about this is, you were just talking about the business tax cuts. Business taxes are exceptionally regressive, but, beyond that, it's the part of business taxes that massively penalize the construction of new factories and office buildings and factory equipment. So what are we talking here about putting tariffs in, or frankly, as Bob Lighthizer talked about, a border adjustment tax, right? It's a tariff-like mechanism. It's a way of closing a loophole where right now we actually tax domestic production of goods vastly more than imported goods. That's exactly what the problem is if you produce something here, you face higher tax rates than if something gets imported. So that's been a taxpayer subsidy against domestic manufacturing. That's part of the story of the last generation or so. So what we're talking about here is closing that loophole and using that not just to pay for the broad sweep of all the tax cuts, but to go further, to make good on the down payment of TCJA, of Trump's tax bill, and go into it and make full expensing provisions for construction of factories and office buildings, for putting new factory equipment into the ground, so to speak. So, that's an ability to be a force multiplier for workers' wages, to make sure that you build on the legacy of Trump's tax bill. The economy is actually larger right now than even the best predictions before Trump's tax bill went into effect. And that's even without, obviously, predicting COVID. It shows you the power of this kind of tax cut. Oh, yeah,
I was wrong. I think you're wrong. He just totally turned me around. Are you going to bring me all the way back, Clarence? Mary?
Well, I think he's inventing his own economics. Yes, businesses are taxed. There's also a lot of tax preferences for construction, R&D, and other things. Companies operating in other countries are also taxed. So the question is, will these tariffs raise jobs and wages, which people really want in this country and many people need? The answer is simply no. It's a job buster, not a job creator. Why? Because many of our companies use imported intermediates, and they will be less competitive because they'll have to pay more. This is an important factor, and one reason why estimates of the trade war that we had under former President Trump show a job loss, not a job gain. By some estimates, the U.S. economy shrank 1 percentage points. Now, there's lots of other reasons why the economy grew. It grew under President Biden, but basically looking at the tariffs, they're a factor to shrink the economy, not grow the economy. So I think it's one of these cases where, lower taxes, and we get more jobs. It's like, oh, wow, that sounds too good to be true. And the answer is because it is too good to be true.
When the Peterson Institute scored the tariffs, I guess they're looking at the 10% across the board and the 60% for China. Basically, you said it would amount to a $1,700 tax increase for middle earners. But shouldn't you account for some wage benefits and some job gains in certain manufacturing areas that right now are so dominated by imports?
Yes, I'm very glad that you asked that question. First of all, yes, we look at the $1,700 tax on middle-income families, and there will be some offsetting sort of macroeconomic effects that we could not consider in our analysis. Those are being considered in other types of analysis that are being done at universities and think tanks as we speak. These so-called general equilibrium effects amount to very small changes. Most estimates are now coming pretty close to ours. When we talk about tariffs creating jobs, we have to look at the details. First of all, tariffs might create jobs for some manufacturers who will see some relief from foreign competition. But let's look at what we buy. Many of the things, particularly on the things we buy from Asia, we do not make in the U.S. And if we put a tariff on those goods, U.S. is not going to be where those jobs are created. we've seen, particularly during the trade war, that the tariffs that former President Trump put on China was a job act for Vietnam and Thailand and Mexico. It was not a job act for the U.S. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, U.S. manufacturers are severely hurt by tariffs because they import low-value items that we don't produce in the U.S. Taxing them raises their costs, makes it harder to sell domestically against foreign competitors, but most importantly, hurts them overseas. This is a recipe for really whamming exporters. Why? One factor we haven't talked about is massive retaliation by other countries against our manufacturers.
Richard, you're going to get the final word. And we don't have that much time. You probably have a lot to cover, but what do you think?
Oh, no, I definitely appreciate it. Look, here's the deal on this one, and we've already seen this. You know, Bob Lighthizer, who had been Trump's trade representative, has been pushing for a border adjustment. Like I said, it's a tariff-like mechanism, but how you treat tariffs on imports is half the story. It's also how you treat exports. You know, the U.S. is a unique country in terms of wealthy countries in having taxes on exports. So, you know, what a border adjustment does is it puts the proper tax treatment on final end-use consumption goods in the U.S. that are imported. It has the proper tax treatment, which is zero taxes, on domestic production that's exported. And if you do it that way, it actually means you're not putting a new tax on industrial inputs, on capital goods, you know, factory equipment and things like that. So you miss a lot of the heavy economic effects that we're talking about here that are negative. And what you get is the positive effects of equalizing the tax treatment, and in doing so, giving you a pay-for that allows you to finally get proper expensing treatment so the U.S. can have one of the most competitive tax systems on the planet. You know, keep in mind, even the very left-leaning, you know, kind of European consortium is trying to push for a minimum business tax globally of 15%. We're at 21%. So, you know, even then, right, and we don't have proper expensing provisions. So if you look down the line on that, the U.S. still has an uncompetitive tax system. This gives us a chance to get back to that. And frankly, it's workers, it's low and middle income Americans who benefit from most from that. And they'll see lower prices, higher wages, faster economic growth. And I'll say one more thing on that. Part of that growth isn't just the dollars and cents. It's new technologies, new devices that save time, that improve the quality of life for every American.